To a top story where members of the National Assembly will on Tuesday next week debate the contentious appointment of Mwenda Mwinzi as Kenya's ambassador to South Korea. Now, Mwinzi assumed office 2 days ago despite Parliament's conditional approval for appointment, which was pegged on her renouncing her American citizenship. Now, Mwinzi is American by birth, and as Jeff Kirui reports, Parliament is considering recalling her to ascertain whether she renounced her U.S. citizenship before taking up the role.
Madam Mwende, most welcome.
In spite of the debacle in the House over her appointment, Mwende Mwinzi on Wednesday assumed her role as Kenya's ambassador to South Korea 2 years later.
The nominee to Seoul.
Mwinzi's assumption of office has caused a fresh row between the executive and legislature, as members of parliament say her appointment went against parliament's demands that she renounces her U.S. citizenship first.
Confirm whether the appointment and reporting of the ambassador to Seoul is true. 2, confirm if the distinguished lady renounced her American citizenship.
It is an issue that borders on what we would call contempt of parliament. And an issue of contempt of parliament ought to take priority over other issues.
Mwinzi had moved to court seeking to bar MPs from forcing her to renounce her nationality. However, the court dismissed the application, terming it premature.
What is true is that the court made certain observations but did not make a finding. And those observations were actually tabled in this House. Members debated them and on its merit decided not to approve. Mr. Speaker, where the law says that a particular approval can only take effect with approval of the House, there can be no other way around it. If the House rejects, there is no other legal process by which one can end up being appointed. I think this is a very fundamental issue because it will affect all other approvals that come to this House. If one can be appointed despite rejection by the House, then it means there is no point in considering that rejection.
Could this House take a stand, including but not limiting to declining to allocate funds to Kenyan embassy in Seoul, South Korea in the year 2021-2022.
And Tuesday next week, the National Assembly has prioritized the matter for debate to establish if indeed Mwende renounced her U.S. citizenship or if the executive appointed her in complete defiance of the National Assembly's recommendation.
Yes, indeed, this is a matter that the House should debate and make a decision one way or other, because there's a report that is pending.
Jeff Kirui, KTN News.
All right, so that story by my colleague Jeff Kirui is leading us to our discussion this morning with an advocate who is more an advocate when it comes to matters youth and women here in the country. I'm talking about lawyer Agnes Ibarra, who's joining us virtually for this discussion. And Wakili, good morning, and thank you so much for joining us here on KTN News Center this morning. So let's begin. First of all, I'd like to pick your mind on the sentiments of the members of parliament who are actually having a heated debate on the floor of the House when it came to that appointment of the ambassador to South Korea, that is Mwinzi.
Good morning, Brenda, and all the KTN viewers. Thank you so much for having me this morning. I think maybe to start off with your question, just as a response, Brenda, maybe we need to paint a small background on Mwenda Mwinzi's appointment. You remember that she had been born in the United States of America, so by default, she is a citizen of the USA. And by that mere fact, it does not remove her from any possibility of being appointed within Kenya, because the Constitution of Kenya recognizes a dual citizenship. In this matter, we can bring in the issue of Miguna Miguna. We've seen that a dual citizenship is not an issue that should bar any Kenyan citizen born in either country outside of this Kenyan soil from accessing opportunities and appointments within this country. But the issue with the parliamentarians, Brenda, from my understanding, is that their issue, what they're raising is they're asking whose loyalty will Mwende be serving. And by that mere fact, I think that is what is discouraging them from appointing or maybe approving, and that is what encouraged them from disapproving her appointment. But I think what they need to factor in, Brenda, is that the president has access to a lot of information.
Right.
And he must have had good reasons to uphold her appointment.
Right.
And
but then,
talking about loyalty, what would Mwende serve and what would she not serve? Be it in a case where she has to choose between which countries she's representing. I think that notion itself is misplaced.
Wakili, before we get into that, delve into this discussion deeper, you know, the same, the Leadership and Integrity Act, yes, you're saying the Constitution recognizes a dual citizenship, which is correct, but the Leadership and Integrity Act, Section 31, subsection 1, also which bars persons with dual citizenship from holding state offices until they renounce one. At the same time, there is a debate as because members of parliament were applying this section of the Leadership Integrity Act, but there is an argument that Mwende Mwinzi is not going to South Korea as an ambassador based on serving the country as a state officer, but as a public officer.
Brenda, some levels of appointments are security issues. And by the mere fact that Mwende is representing the president, that's why her title and her role will be Her Excellency. She's representing the president in South Korea. And issues such as appointments of ambassadorial appointments and key installations such as South Korea, those are high security issues discussed on such sensitive and closed-door meetings. And I think the parliamentarians and the public would not be privy to such information. I don't think that the president would outrightly defy the Constitution of Kenya and outrightly defy the position of the parliament without having information that would back up the appointment of Mwende. So Brenda, we have to also be conversant to some things will not always be put on the public gallery. Some decisions that have been made, mostly security decisions, would not be put on the floor or the public array. That's where we have to be to actually accept what the president has taken a stand on this matter. So
Wakili, is she serving as a state officer or as a public officer? Because if it is as a state officer, according to that Leadership Integrity Act that I've read, it says that she needs to denounce, the dual citizenship. Either she says, I'm an American by birth or I'm a Kenyan.
Being American by birth does not stop you from choosing what citizenship you want to associate with. And like what I've said, Brenda, we are not privy to what decision Mwende has made. And I do not think such personal information, her coming out in public, and maybe what we want her to do is come out in public and say, hey, this is me as Mwende, I'm denouncing being a USA citizen or an American citizen. I don't think that is something anyone would fathom to even come out in public and declare. So that's why I insist on information that has been ring-fenced and information that is sensitive to the nature of the bare fact that it is a security installation. We cannot force her or cajole her to come out publicly and declare. And that is why I'm saying that the president must have very good reason, and he has access to information that is way above what the public should be consuming.
But then it begs the question, why has the president gone against the decision by members of parliament, the committee that was vetting her, and refused to approve her nomination as an ambassador to South Korea?
All appointments that the president makes and submits to the House to the National Assembly, to the House on the National Parliament, are appointments that serve under his discretion. And I feel at that point, if the president felt deeply that Mwende would be the perfect appointee to serve him, and I'm telling you that, Brenda, she is not just a state officer. She is representing the president and the presidency in South Korea. So if the president believes, and if he nominated her on the floor of the House to be approved, and if he believes that she is the perfect match to serve him, I think the parliament should allow the president that person.
But Wakili, isn't the president going against the law? Because once he has given nomination, a list of names that he has nominated for a position, it's been taken to parliament. Parliament has to vet and table a report on the floor of the House, whether to approve or reject, then take it back to the president. And so here the president gives a list of ambassadors, nominees to parliament. The committee sits down, to vet, they reject, and then the president goes against it? Is it based on the fact that the president was acting on the court ruling or acting on, maybe through an advice that was given? Because it is clear, and that is what members of parliament are asking, why did the president go against the rule, the decision actually that members of parliament gave?
Brenda, I think before we go before ourselves, this issue will be debated in Parliament next week on Tuesday, if they do not change the schedule. But I'll paint you a different picture, Brenda. If I am the appointing country, say Kenya, I'm considering sending Ambassador Mwende Mwinzi to South Korea. I prepare a document called an agreement, that's French for agreement, and I send it over to the host country. So in this very instance, Kenya prepared all the documentation, credentials, and the agreement document and sent it over to South Korea. And when South Korea or the host country received her papers, they accepted it. And in these such cases, we have seen ambassadors or appointments that have been rejected by the host country. We have seen appointments rejected by Somalia. We have seen persons persons presented to the host country, and the host country declines the appointment. And for South Korea to accept the appointment of Mwende Mwinzi, because we have seen that they did not send back her credentials. Normally what happens, when you are appointed and the host country feels like you cannot serve, either by internal or international issues, if the host country believes that this person is not suited to serve within our borders, they either don't respond within 3 months or they return the credentials back to the appointing country.
All right.
But if in this instance, we have seen that the president has maintained his position on her appointment and that her credentials have been sent and South Korea has accepted her credentials and maintained her appointment, then this is something that we feel that there must be something deeper that is not supposed to be consumed by the public.
So Akile,
if she was unfit to hold this office, I promise you, Brenda, that South Korea would not have accepted her credentials and she would be a public citizen just like us.
So are you saying members of parliament are just breathing hot air?
What I'm saying is, I'm not saying that the members of parliament are breathing hot air. It is well within their right and their constitutional mandate to want to follow through most of the decisions that they have made. But I feel like this matter is immature to debate on and to decide on conclusively whether a law has been defied or whether the president has defied what the parliament has said. Because even the parliament has not conclusively debated on the issue, Brenda.
So let's talk about that decision by the MP saying that they'll recall her if if they find out that it's clear that she has not, renounced the U.S. citizenship. So do they have that? Let's talk about their past to recall her and to prevent her from continuing to serve the country in South Korea as the Kenyan ambassador to that country.
I've listened to one member of parliament talking about the issue of recalling her, but sadly the fact is that the National Assembly has no powers to recall either her budget or all statutes that follow her appointment. And Brenda, money follows functions, and the minute Mwende was appointed and she reported to her duty station, the money followed her. And if a budget is already released to serve a particular office, I am certain that that matter is well rested by now, Brenda.
All right, so whose interest will, Mwende Mwinzi serve? Will she serving the interest of the Kenyan government or the U.S. government, because she has two citizenships? She's an American and she's also a Kenyan.
Brenda, I think if we continue with this conversation, we'll be pushing the envelopes of what we need to be discussing on national TV. But I believe her loyalty is not contested, and I think it would be improper to start even painting her loyalty in bad light or starting to maybe have insinuations that she might consider serving another country that did not appoint her. I think for her to end up and for her to make the list of appointments, I think it is well within reason, and it is something that was discussed in high levels. And being a security appointment, Brenda, I do not think that we should be insinuating that her loyalty is divided between America and the Republic of Kenya. And for her being appointed as a Kenyan citizen, because Brenda, you also have to keep this with you that the Constitution of Kenya recognizes dual citizenship. And for her to come out here and say that I am ready to serve my country, who are we to stop her? If President Obama came here and said that I do not want to identify as an American, despite being born in America, would we have stopped him from doing anything? And I remember at that time, there were very many delegations asking Obama to come back to his paternal country. And I think we need to give Mwenda Minzi an opportunity to prove herself as installed by the president, and also to give respect to the institute of the presidency, and to accept that there was a fundamental and very important reason that the president has upheld her appointment.
All right. And as we bring this conversation to an end, Wakili, so what precedents as the President Uhuru Kenyatta set for future appointments on people who have dual citizenship, especially for international appointments?
Brenda, that's why I'm a key supporter of the BBI process, because, the BBI process is sort of an evaluation. It is an evaluation of what are these loopholes that we need to enforce, what do we need to tighter, what is it that maybe is bringing all of these contentious issues, what is it that keeps on leading us to maybe seek interpretations in the courts of law. And that's why I'm a supporter of the BBI process, because such issues are what need to be rectified. We need now to present this matter, like, do we need to, going forward, do we need to decide as Kenyans that if someone born outside our borders, if they decide to come back and serve a country, maybe if they identify more as Kenyan than any other place they are born in, do we need to close the door off to all of these people? Maybe that's why we need to start having these conversations. What do we need to amend? What do we need to change? What do we need to factor in? I think this is something great that the president has done, because it will start off a conversation of who do we consider as Kenyan, and are we closing off the door to everyone out there who feels like maybe it's time for me to come home and serve my country in a different capacity. So I feel like it's a very great conversation that the parliament is starting. It's one that the president has kicked off, and I believe that we, in our own justice and righteousness, we should not vindicate anyone because they were born, and it was not something that they chose. You don't choose where you're supposed to be born. But if they feel like right now I'm an adult and I feel like I need to serve my country better, and because I am half Kenyan, I need to come back and serve Kenya as an adult, I don't think we need to close out all of the opportunities to such kind of dual citizenship. And I think this is a conversation that must start right now. Brenda.
All right. Agnes Ibara, a lawyer, talking to us about that decision by President Uhuru Kenyatta to approve, the nominee for South Korea ambassadorial position. It is a heated debate on the floor of the House that will be on the floor of the House actually next week on Tuesday. Wait and see, the decision that members of Parliament will make. So allow me to take a short breather. But when we come back, we shall be crossing over to Mombasa and talk to my colleague Tobias Chanji, just to talk to us about the decision that has been made by nurses who've been on strike for more than 2 months in Mombasa County. I have information that they've actually decided to call off this